Rise to our feet for the arrival of the Speaker and the Prime Minister. Honourable Fofana. May we remain upstanding for the national anthems of Solomon Islands, the national anthem of the OACPS, and the national anthem of the European Union. may be seated.
Thank you, Honourable members. Welcome to the Parliament of Solomon Islands. Excuse me. Honourable Prime Minister, co-presidents of the ACP-EU Joint Parliamentary Assembly, members of the European and Pacific Parliaments, Secretary General of the OACPS, Secretariat of the European Parliament, advisors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning, although late, good morning. As Speaker of the National Parliament of Solomon Islands, it is my pleasure to welcome you to Solomon Islands. On behalf of the National Parliament and its members, I welcome you to the opening of the 19th Regional Meeting, Pacific Region of the ACP-EU Joint Parliamentary Assembly. I understand that many of you have traveled some distance to reach our happy hours, and for most of you, I'm sure this will be one of your first, and if not the only, journey that you'll make to the Solomon Islands. That said, I hope you will see you again in future in whatever capacity you may wish to visit us. I'm very grateful that you have responded to the invitation to attend this important event. We can all agree that it is no small undertaking to travel over to Honiara at this time of the year, and also to leave your very important duties to attend this meeting, and so thank you for your commitment in doing so. I'd also like to welcome you to our chamber, our beautiful chamber, and which Parliament started using the chamber in November 1993. And apart from the plenary sessions, various gatherings have been held here in previous years, including mock Parliament sessions for women and youth. Today's official opening marks an important event in the history of the Parliament. It is the first time, and I stand to be corrected on this, that this Parliament has hosted a regional meeting of the ACP-EU Joint Parliamentary Assembly. For a young parliamentary democracy, hosting the event is an opportunity which we cannot pass, albeit at a busy time. The Solomon Islands National Parliament has come a long way, For small parliaments like the Solomons, gathering like this provide a space for forging connections, exchanges of best practices and experiences. Over the next few days, we will hear first-hand accounts of the progress and challenges of regional integration and other development efforts in the ACP region. And so let us continue to maintain this cooperation and support between our parliaments and our people, especially in an area of increasing social and political fragmentation. We must ensure we remain relevant, inclusive, and press on towards achieving our sustainable goals. The institutions that we represent need to be relevant and legitimate to the daily lives of our people. I believe to achieve this, we have to engage the general populace through initiatives that will make them appreciate the governance arrangements and the importance of integration and cooperation. In closing, let me take this time to specifically thank those stakeholders who have rendered support in making this event possible. The Government of Solomon Islands, Mr. Prime Minister, thank you for the assistance the Parliament has received from the office, the United Nations Development Programme, the OACPS-EU Secretariat, and lastly but not least, the British High Commission here in Solomon Islands. As we gather in Honiara this week and discuss important issues, please let us know that we are not only representation of the voice of our parliaments and institutions, but also the voice of citizens, families and communities. The road ahead of us may be uncertain. Nevertheless, let us take practical steps in addressing the challenges and path a positive future for our people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable John Patterson Orty, Speaker of the Parliament of Solomon Islands, for your remarks. We will now hear the statement of Honourable Anarita Sitole, Co-President of the OACP-EU Joint Parliamentary Assembly. Honourable Sitole, you have the floor.
His Excellency the Prime Minister of Solomon Islands, His Excellency Manesh Sogavari, Speaker of National Parliament of Solomon Islands, Mr. John Patterson Orty, Co-President of the ACP Joint Parliamentary Assembly, Honorable Carlos Zorinho, Secretariats of the OASPS, Dr. George Chicote, and Pietro Ducci. Honorable members of the ACP Joint Parliamentary Assembly, distinguished guests, I would like to warmly welcome you to the 19th Regional Meeting of the ACP-EU Joint Parliamentary Assembly, which is being held in this magnificent town of Honiara in the Solomon Islands. It is noteworthy to mention that our meeting coincides with the Pacific Games in the beautiful Solomon Islands. I would like to extend our heartfelt congratulations to the Prime Minister and to the Solomon Islands and to all the participating nations. Sport, much like development processes, a transformative power that goes beyond borders and cultures. It binds us together, fostering unity, mutual respect, and understanding. For nations that often face diverse challenges, sports offer a canvas upon which we can paint stories of resilience, triumph, and shared aspirations. The OACPS recognizes the crucial role that sport plays not only in individual development, but in uniting nations, bridging differences, and building a stronger, interconnected global community. Honorable members, as President of the OACPS Parliamentary Assembly and Co-President of the ACP-EU Joint Parliamentary Assembly, it is an honor for me to address you today. We are the expression of a deep bond shaped by history, based on mutual respect and the will to make our societies evolve according to the needs of the population, of our population, and their profound aspirations. The Solomon Islands, with their myriad culture and resilience, provide a symbolic stage for our deliberations. Amid the vast waters of the Pacific, we are reminded of the potential obstacles and opportunities that lie ahead. Our goal is clear: to help promote sustainable growth, support peace, and ensure inclusion. Our alliance, which links the African, Caribbean, and Pacific states to the European Union, is more than just cooperation. It embodies the incredible transformation we have undergone, the formidable adversities we have overcome, and the ambitious goals we have set for our societies. Take, for example, the recent turbulence in the Israel-Palestinian region. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Peace is not merely a distant goal we seek, but means by which we arrive at that goal." Such geopolitical conversations further underline the importance of our united front and collaborative efforts. This is all very true, given that the world has become interconnected and that new challenges require collective responses and a strong commitment on our part. In other words, what is happening in the world must challenge us. Honorable members, we must also take an interest in the challenges facing the region hosting our session. In this, not the spirit of the Samoa Agreement, whose regional protocols are devoted to taking account of specific regional characteristics. With regard to the Pacific region in particular, we remain aware that climate change is a major challenge that hampers all prospects of economic and social progress. We are seeing an extreme increase in temperatures and in the frequency of extreme weather events, such as tropical cyclone Lola, which hit Vanuatu and the neighboring countries this week. The conditions we face are not only challenges, but also urgent calls to action and safeguard our common home. Every day, we are reminded that we have a collective responsibility to make the change needed to combat climate change. We need to rethink our socio-economic model, our consumption habits, and take drastic measures to reverse the trend towards a constant rise in the Earth's temperature, with consequences that could ultimately be irreversible for our planet. In this respect, the conclusion of the 6th report of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, published on the 20 March 2023, are unequivocal. Climate and non-climate risks will worsen and multiply, making them more complex and difficult to manage. Distinguished members, our meeting is crucial, being the last in the legacy of the Cotonou Agreement. As we renew our pact under the Samoa Agreement, we reaffirm our commitment to a regional approach. This agreement is designed to adapt to specific regional realities, guaranteeing actions that have an impact on our populations. With this in mind, parliamentarians play an essential role, particularly through their role in the process of ratifying international agreements such as the Samoa Agreement. It is therefore essential to engage in constructive dialogue with the executive. In converging on Honiara, we bear an enormous responsibility. Our nations expect us to develop policies that reflect the aspirations of our diverse communities. These policies must be progressive and inclusive. Our duty is to listen, collaborate, and act with conviction. This is how we can strengthen our unity and improve mutual understanding between our peoples, and how we can get closer to them so that they take ownership of our collective project. To all the delegates here today, from the European Union to the Pacific nations of OACPS, I urge you to participate in our discussions with receptiveness and empathy. Our strength comes from the diversity of our perspective, our shared principles, and our unwavering commitment in improving the lives of our fellow citizens. In conclusion, I would like to express my deep gratitude to our gracious hosts, the government of the Solomon Islands, and its people. Your hospitality has made this important meeting a memorable one. May this 9th regional meeting be instructive and lay the foundations for a reinvigorated alliance. Together, let us embark on the next phase of our history of collaboration with optimism, tenacity, and camaraderie. Thank you all for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Honourable Anarita Sitole. We'll now give the floor to Honourable Carlos Zorrino, Co-President of the ACP-EU Joint Parliamentary Assembly, for your remarks. Honourable Zorrino, you have the floor.
Sorry. Honourable Manasseh Sogavar, Prime Minister of Solomon Islands, Honourable John Patterson Hottie, Speaker of the Solomon Islands Parliament, Honourable Anahita Chitol, dear Co-President of the ACP-EU Joint Parliamentary Assembly, Ambassadors, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I'm really honoured and very happy to be here with you for the 9th regional meeting of the Joint Parliamentary Assembly on Yara, Solomon Islands. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, 3 years have passed since our last regional meeting that was held in 2020 in Lesotho. We consider that regional meetings give us the opportunity to deepen our cooperation even more. This is especially true now, when we are just weeks away from the signing of our new ACP-EU agreement, and I think it is worth mentioning that the official signature of the new agreement will be done here in the Pacific region. I warmly welcome this and look forward to the continuation and strengthening of our cooperation under the Samoa Agreement. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Solomon Islands for its hospitality and the big efforts made to organize this meeting. Thank you, Honourable President. Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Thank you, Honourable colleagues. I especially wish to thank my good friend and former co-president, Peter Kennerea Jr. I think he is landing now from Fiji, but I want to say that with Anahita Chitol, in the last 3 years, we work very hard. We make dozens of meetings, some online meetings, in the morning here, in the night in Europe, but we achieve to have 4 joint parliamentary assemblies, 1 global one, 3 regional ones, and the rules of procedure. We are fully prepared, fully ready to begin working after the signature of the agreement in 15 November in Samoa. Thank you, Peter. It's a very, very, very good experience to work with you, and I want to follow this cooperation, more personal cooperation. Our discussions here will be able us to address key issues for our common future, to conduct a structured dialogue with regional bodies and parliaments, and to discuss and prepare the future Pacific-EU Parliamentary Assembly that we hope will start in work as of 2024. I want to also to congratulate the Secretary General of ACP Parliamentary Assembly, my friend George Chicotti, and to say that we all hope to meet in February in Angola to launch the new cycle of the GPAs. Dear colleagues, the regional meetings of the GPA are part of a process of promoting and supporting the regional integration of the ACP countries. Here, the European Union can be seen as an example of a very successful history over the past 70 years. What our founding fathers created not long after the Second World War as an integrated European European countries closer to each other. This has led to the longest period of peace of the European continent ever. Peace is, of course, a goal in itself, but it's also an excellent base for the construction of a better society. Cooperation with our neighbors, good political and economic governance, stability and economic growth leads to better conditions for all our citizens. And this is, of course, much easier to achieve for a country in peace, for a region in peace. I believe that the regional integration is essential also for strengthening development. This is particularly true for the Pacific, which is geographically fragmented, and this is wonderful sea that surrounds us now. Your economics are small and segmented, and the Pacific Sea can also be a physical barrier that hinders participating in the regional and global economy. Trade and cooperation will, of course, be part of the agenda for our discussions here. Having traveled here over the past days, I can confirm that it is a long way from Brussels, but still, the European Union is both an important market destination and a source for Pacific ACP countries. I am pleased that the value of our trade in goods and services has been clearly increasing over the past years. We can safely say that the EU-Pacific Economic Partnership Agreement has played a role in this growth, and I have good hopes that this European Partnership Agreement will increase in size in the near future, since several more Pacific countries are interested in joining the partnership. Dear friends, I said in the beginning that we are just weeks away from the signing of the new ACP-EU agreement. I think all of you know that we have been through quite a long period of negotiations to reach this agreement. At times, it looked as if the parliamentary cooperation would be reduced in the new agreement. But thanks to the hard work of our ACP-EU Joint Parliamentary Assembly, our governments realized that the importance of collaboration, not just among administrations, but also among elected members of parliaments representing of people of more than 100 countries, 106 to be very clear, for 4 continents is absolutely crucial. The Samoa Agreement builds on the collaboration among the same friends that we started already under the Lomé Agreement almost 50 years ago. What I believe is a good and important change with the new agreement is that we will allow for closer work together with the 3 ACP regions. I know that there are some reluctance to this when it first came up, but instead of splitting the ACP countries, I am sure that this will bring an increased focus on the smaller countries in the Pacific and also in the Caribbean. Our discussions tomorrow afternoon on the setting up of the Pacific EU Parliamentary Assembly is going to be inspiring, and I hope that we will together come up with good ideas for our coming work. Dear colleagues, the Portuguese explorer Ferdinand Magellan gave the Pacific its common name more than 1,500 years ago. He was lucky when he sailed across. As you know, the Pacific Ocean does not always live up to that name. Unfortunately, the predictability and severity of flooding and cyclones might only worsen from the impacts of man-made climate change. It is obvious that Pacific Islands are amongst the most vulnerable on the effects of climate change and natural disasters. But also, other natural disasters are present in the Pacific: cyclones, floods, earthquakes, tsunamis, and even volcanic eruptions. I'm here today also to reaffirm our European commitment and support to tackling climate change and building resiliency. I believe in strength through unity, through our shared values and commitments to the Paris Agreement and the United Nations Special Development Goals. Sustainable Development Goals. We recognize that you are facing an existential reckoning that rises with the tides as you strive to develop a more united and prosperous Pacific region for the next generations. You hold behind to hold us Europeans to account to make sure that we, as the region's key development partner, address our contributions to global climate change. During our time here in Solomon Islands, I hope we reach meaningful conclusions and dialogues that will secure our partnership for an harmonious, resilient, and prosperous Pacific region. Dear colleagues, the Pacific is of growing geopolitical importance due to its central location in the part of the world where the furthest easterly longitudes neighbor the most westerly. The Pacific is also a strategic partner to the European Union. You are friends that share our interests in multilateralism and rules based in international order. During the Second World War, the Pacific was a battleground between two competing and irreconcilable ideologies. Countries such as the Solomon Islands suffered an enormous loss of civilian life. A remilitarization of the Pacific could result in history repeating itself. Therefore, the EU offers to be the doves, not the hanks. Let us remind the world that development, free trade, dialogue, and prosperity is one of the best ways to preserve the peace. Let us leave protectionism up and trade wars in the past. The EU is here to offer a third way that would offer relief from pressure to choose sides in a similar bipolar arena that could risk your citizens becoming the collateral of resting giants. These are some of the topics that will animate our debates, hopefully, and as rich, frank, and constructive as ever. Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, Madam Co-President of the Joint Parliamentary Assembly, fellow parliamentarians, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, I know that every generation thinks that they are living in the most complex and dangerous times. It's difficult to rank in the history the moment we are living now. Some wars, humanitarian disasters, natural catastrophes are in the spotlight. Others are forgotten in the dark shadows. Our people, millions and millions of children, millions and millions of women and men, are suffering at an unacceptable level. We, as politicians, as parliamentarians, are called to act now. Let me tell you that we need ever and ever a human-centered approach with empathy, a human-centered approach with empathy and multilateral dialogue and cooperation to deliver adequate answers. Multilateralism means sovereignty, sovereignty with shared values. The Pacific region dialogue and cooperation with Africa and Caribbean, the Pacific region dialogue and cooperate with Africa and with Caribbean, and also with China, and also with the United States, and also with Japan, and also with Australia, and also, hopefully, with the European Union. These are only some examples. The European Union do the same. Our offer is well known. We propose the co-creation of solutions under Global Europe, Global Gateway programs. And the Economic Partnership Agreement Pacific-EU is a good example. Human development, sustainable development, peace, freedom, dignity. Who is against this agenda? Why we stay postponing what we know we need to do now. I'm speaking about the world. We need to deliver together now. I would like to reiterate my conviction that regional integration, cooperation, good political and economic governance, stability and social justice, combined with a reliable institutional framework, can make a difference and enable sustainable economic, political and social development. Some of the issues you are going to talk about may be sensitive, but must be addressed while respecting and accepting diversity of opinion. That is what parliamentary democracy is all about. I am convinced that it is the spirit that will have fruitful discussions during this regional meeting. Our Assembly will thus continue to be the most appropriate forum for adversarial debate and useful resolutions for the future of the region. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Carlos Zorino, for your remarks. It is now my humble honour and duty to welcome His Excellency Honourable Manasseh Sogavar, the Prime Minister of Solomon Islands, to address the Assembly and to officially open the 19th Regional Meeting of the OACP-EU Joint Parliamentary Assembly. Honourable Minister, you have the floor.
Thank you, Speaker of Solomon Islands National Parliament, His Excellency Honourable Parson Oti, Secretary General of the OACPS Secretariat, His Excellency Dr. Georges Rebelo Pinto Cotti, Co-Presidents of the OACPS-EU Joint Parliamentary Assembly, Honourable Anna Sithole and Honourable Carlo Zorino, Honourable Members of Parliament from the Pacific, OACP and the European Parliament, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf, I join the Speaker of the National Parliament on behalf of the government and people of Solomon Islands. I am indeed honored and delighted to warmly welcome all of you to the beautiful shores of the Happy Isles. I would especially like to extend our warm Solomon Islands greetings and welcome to those of you, and I join the Speaker in saying that we're visiting Solomon Islands for the first time, and have also traveled a long way from Europe, Africa, Caribbean, and the Pacific to get here. I trust that you will all find time during your short stay to savor and enjoy the warm hospitality of our people, culture, and beauty of our islands. But before proceeding, I would like once again to acknowledge the presence of the Secretary General of the organizations of the African, Caribbean, Pacific states, His Excellency Dr. Georges Rebelo Pinto Cotti, who is visiting Solomon Islands, I understand, for the first time. And I believe he's first to the Pacific region as well, and welcome, Excellency, and I look forward to a meeting with you in the coming days. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Solomon Islands is proud and honored indeed to host the 19th Pacific Regional Meeting of the OACPS-EU Joint Parliamentary Assembly for the very first time. I understand that other neighboring Pacific OACP states had hosted the meetings of the Joint Parliamentary Assembly in the past, but this is the first for Solomon Islands since independence, and which makes it an important and historic event. And I wish to acknowledge and congratulate our Speaker of National Parliament, the Honourable John Patterson Oti, for agreeing to host this historical event in Solomon Islands. And this demonstrates Solomon Islands' commitment to our shared values and beliefs in the promotion, protection and fulfillment of human rights, democratic principles, and rule of law and good governance. These values are clearly stipulated and espoused in the United Nations Charter, the revised Georgetown Agreement, and the Cotonou Agreement, and the soon-to-be signed Samoa Agreement. The importance of the EU OACPS Joint Parliamentary Assembly in promoting and protecting our common values and the principles of democracy cannot be understated. The Joint Parliamentary Assembly provides the avenue for parliamentarians on both sides, not only to share and exchange information on common issues, but also to enhance the role of our respective parliaments in improving democratic accountability, the rule of law, and, of course, good governance. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the regional joint parliamentary assemblies and their respective functions are also clearly stated in the 3 regional protocols of the Samoa Agreement, and I believe that this will help our parliamentarians at the regional level to oversee the implementation of regional policy priorities in the new partnership agreement with the European Union. As we are about to sign the Samoa Agreement in Apia next month, the partnership between the OACPS and the European Union will further deepen the close cooperation between our countries in the next 20 years to drive our common interests in all areas outlined in the agreement, specifically in the areas of human rights, democracy, governance, peace and security, human and social development, inclusive, sustainable economic growth and development, environment sustainability, and climate change, and migration and mobility, just to name a few. Excellencies, the COVID-19 global pandemic affected us greatly. Our economy is suffering, and the effects are more pronounced for least developing countries and small island developing states like us. Our economies are still struggling to recover. The war in Ukraine, too, is taking its toll on our economies, and this has already been further exacerbated by the conflict between Israel and Hamas in the Middle East. And we continue to be reminded that we must work together to end all conflicts and wars. Unfortunately, Excellencies, the prospect of these wars ending are not in sight. It does not need much thought for anyone to agree that supplying more war equipment and taking sides with the warring parties is the way to end these wars. The League of Nations and its successor United Nations and its systems and the various charters were established and adopted as the global strategy to address these challenges. Did we? And the question remains. Therefore, questions are appropriately raised whether the United Nations systems, processes, and its supporting financial mechanisms are effective to address the challenges that the world is facing today, and whether the introduction of a new global governance system is now justified, fully justified. This is especially so, Excellencies, when 85% of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals are either off track, neglected, or failed because the developed world is prioritizing other things. The question is, what can our organization do to change the course that the world is taking? This is a challenge that we must face head-on with seriousness. If that is not enough, we have witnessed rapid changes in our world over the last 2 years. The Pacific region has become an area of great strategic interest by the superpowers, and we have witnessed renewed interest specifically in the area of security. Solomon Islands has no interest in the geopolitics of the superpowers. We are actively, militarizing the region. Superpowers who are actively militarizing the region. Nor are we interested in taking sides in the race for global dominance in the security space by these powers. We do, however, recognize our strategic locations. That said, we want to keep our corner of the world peaceful and safe, because there can be no sustainable development without peace, and no peace without sustainable development. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure that as you fly into Honiara, you would have noticed the vast body of water that makes up our country. We are a large ocean state. The ocean is our identity. It is our past, our present, and future. It is our lifeblood. I have made Solomon Islands' position clear on the issue of Japan discharging over 1 million tons of treated nuclear wastewater into the ocean in my statement in the recent United Nations General Assembly. I reiterate my call for Japan to explore other options other than dumping it in our ocean. We must do everything to protect our ocean, because the effects of polluted ocean is transboundary and intergenerational. Excellencies, the runaway climate crisis has caused sea level to rise, which threatens our very existence. And I want to repeat what I said during the United Nations General Assembly debate. The global stocktake under the Paris Agreement is critical to keep everyone honest, know where we are, what we need to do, and how to keep the 1.5 degrees goal alive. Loss and damage mechanisms needs to be resourced and operationalized. Global trust needs to be restored to uphold the credibility of the Paris Agreement. We must walk the talk by taking drastic climate actions. Solomon Islands welcomes the International Court of Justice deliberations on Vanuatu Initiative for Climate Justice. We must accelerate our transitions to a low-carbon economy and further support the Port Vila Initiative for a just transition from fossil fuels. Developed countries must take the lead in financing the construction of climate-resilient, safe islands in the small island development state. This must be a global priority, end of quote. Excellencies, in terms of trade, Solomon Islands would like to see arrangements that are less restrictive, more responsive, and aligned to our national needs. And I'm sure that the Samoa Agreement is cognizant of that. And on that note, I wish to announce that our Cabinet has approved the Minister of Foreign Affairs and External Trade to sign the Samoa Agreement, and Cabinet has mandated the Ministry to facilitate the ratification and application of the agreement after signing. I trust the agenda of your meeting in the coming 3 days will cover most of the issues I highlighted, and the outcome of your deliberations will deliver tangible results. In closing, I would like to take this opportunity to wish your meeting every success, and take the pleasure in declaring the 19th Regional Parliament meeting of the OACPS-EU opened. You meet together for a better world. To God be the glory. Great things He has done. May God bless you all. May God bless your respective countries. May God bless Solomon Islands from shore to shore. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Honorable Manasseh Sogavare, for that inspiring speech. We have now concluded the part of our session this morning of statements, receiving the different statements. We will now proceed to a family photo. This photograph will take place in this very room. We will now move the photo will be done with the leaders at the front and then the members of parliament right behind the leadership. The leaders will be standing in a similar way as they're sitting on the high table and will be on the side of the co-president Zorino. We will have the Secretary General Petri Ducci, and on the side of President Anurita Sitole, we will have His Excellency the Secretary General George Rebelo Pinto Chikoti. May I now ask that the protocol moves the leaders and then the members of parliament move behind the leadership. Thank you.